This video has been a struggle to put together. The higher powers just don't want it to be made. So let me try to explain what's happening, and let's see if I can get it fixed and try to give you the original content that I wanted. Hi everyone, I'm Coach John, and if you're new to my channel, well, I'm kind of in a limbo right now. I used to be a health and fitness channel, and now I'm transitioning over more to content creation, basically going over reviews of various gadgets and other things that I use in my daily life, and also give advice on content creation to help make your journey into it a little bit easier. So it's up to you if you want to subscribe, but please give my videos a chance and hit that like button if you can. For this video, it was supposed to be a comparison between the Sigma 16mm f1.4 lens and this lens here, the Sony Zeiss 16-70mm f4 lens. Of course, both lenses were going to be set at the f4 aperture, and I was going to go out in various scenarios and vlog with them, so you can get an idea of how they perform, whether in a room or mini studio environment like this, outdoors, and even in low light. So what happened was I went out, I recorded all the footage for the Sigma 16mm lens and this one, the Sony Zeiss 1670, and that took a while. That took a few hours, and I was hiking, and it was a bit strenuous. I put in some effort to get that video. The issue with the Sony ZV-10, it doesn't have a backup memory card. It only has a single memory card slot. I offloaded the files from my camera, the ZV-10, to my laptop, and something happened during the transfer and I lost half of the footage for this video. So a lot of the footage for the Sigma 16mm lens is gone. I only got a portion of it. And some of the important ones that I wanted to show are just gone. And the issue is I sold the Sigma 16mm lens, so I can't go back and redo the footage. Side note, if you're going to take content creation seriously or vlogging, or you want to start a YouTube channel, get a video camera or a camera with a dual SD slot, so you have a backup in case something happens. Either the memory card fails or that drive fails when you're transferring files to your computer. It's frustrating. And of course, I don't have that Sigma 16mm lens now. I should have kept it a little bit longer. I should have checked the footage first before I got rid of it, but the buyer they wanted it. They were in a hurry to get it, and I had no issue giving it to them quickly. So what I'm gonna do for the rest of the video is I have a Sony 16mm f2.8 pancake lens coming. Does anybody remember that? It came out in 2010, originally for the NEX line, and many reviews just knock it hard. They say it's stay away from it. I'm changing the way I do my videos and the way I use my equipment. I'm going for more compact and lightweight setups, and I like just how small and light it is. And I think I'm going to be using it as my main vlogging lens in the future. I'm having way too many issues with my Sony Xperia Pro-I to use it as a dependable vlogging camera, so I went looking for something else. And let's see, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to throw that lens in this review. We will still have this lens, we will have some of the Sigma 16mm lens, we will have that new 16mm f2.8 Sony lens, and why not, I'm gonna throw in the Sony Xperia Pro-I. So you have a look at 4 different lenses, each with its strengths and weaknesses, and I'll let you decide which one you think is best suited for your needs. All right. Yeah, sweating here. It is hot. So yeah, let's enough of me talking and let's get this video going. Hi everyone, I'm outside of my hot and stuffy room, and right now I'm in a nice nature park doing a afternoon hike. It's a little bit cooler here, but I'm sure you can see the sweat coming off of my face. And what I'm going to do for this portion of the video is show a comparison between the Sigma and Sony lens and how they perform in an outdoor environment such as this at around noon to 3 p.m. This will give you an idea of their video performance and also their autofocus performance in bright settings. The lens that I'm using right now is the Sony Ziess f4 lens. Alright, so this is the Sony Ziess 16 to 70 millimeter f4 lens, and it is at the 16 millimeter focal length, around 24 millimeter full frame. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and do a walk so you can check out how OSS is on this lens, and later on I'll switch over to the Sigma 16 millimeter lens. Alright, I'm going to go up this hill so you can see how OSS works, and also you can see the focal length and the video quality from this lens. I've read some reviews on this lens and it gets knocked around a lot because of its quality, despite being a Ziess Tessar Star lens. And let's see if there's a big difference between this one and the Sigma lens when it comes to video quality. I am using the Sony Remote Commander Bluetooth grip, so it's about 3 feet 1 meter away from my face, and I'm using the stock microphones from the ZV-10 for the audio. Now I'm not going to be able to compare the same scenes between both lenses because it's very difficult to change out each lens, especially in this type of environment. It's very humid right now and it's hot, and I don't want to mess up the sensor or the lens doing frequent changes. Alright, so that was the Sony Ziess 16 to 70 millimeter f4 lens during a walking vlog. I'll go ahead and switch over to the Sigma one. Alright, so I switched over to the Sigma 16 millimeter f1.4 lens. And supposedly this is a sharper lens than the Sony Ziess, and it's supposed to be better video quality. Now, the problem with this lens, and I've pointed out in my past videos, is it's kind of big and it can be kind of heavy for some users compared to the Sony Ziess lens. So you have to decide, do you prefer a sharper and perhaps better video quality from the Sigma lens, or something more compact and lighter such as the Sony Ziess f4 lens. Alright, so I'm going to head back down this hill that I just came up with the Sony Ziess lens. The issue with this lens, of course, whoa, I almost slipped there. The other issue with this lens, it doesn't have OSS like the Sony Ziess lens. So right now it's in active stabilization mode, so it's going to be a bit shaky. So I'm going to turn off the video, switch it to no stabilization so I can stabilize it later in Catalyst Browse. Okay, actually I'm wrong. I guess when I switch out the lens, it set everything back for the stabilization. So before, that was without any stabilization. So I'm gonna go ahead and for the rest of this scene, I'll put it through Catalyst Browse. Personally, I feel that this lens does better on a tripod and even in a studio setting because of its large size and weight. And if I was going to recommend which lens between the Sony and the Sigma for vlogging like this, I'm going to go ahead and recommend the Sony just because it's more compact and it's lighter. This is the Sony 16mm f2.8 lens. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and walk and vlog so you can check out the stabilization performance for this lens. It will be at f4.0, so it matches the apertures of the other lens. And please excuse the background noise. Once again, those are insects, and it's not much I can do about it. One of the issues I saw with this lens when I was playing around with it is the autofocus can be a bit shaky sometimes. I am using autofocus right now. This small LCD screen, it's difficult to tell if I am clear or not. There may be some autofocusing issues with this lens, so be prepared for that. Right now, this is active stabilization turned on for this lens. Basically, it's using digital stabilization from the ZV-E10 to keep this video sorta smooth. Now, I wouldn't recommend using this option while walking and vlogging. It's very shaky and I'm sure you can see it. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna turn off the stabilization and then I'm gonna run it through Catalyst Browse so that you will have a smooth viewing experience for this lens. The reason I picked up this lens was because of how light and compact it is. It's amazing. So if you plan to do a lot of vlogs like this, where you're going to be outdoors, walking around, maybe you're doing some action type vlogs, this is perfect for that. I know many reviewers have knocked this lens, especially when it comes to its sharpness, its corner performance, and other areas, but you don't get this lens for that, especially if you're gonna be doing a lot of video work. I prefer a softer look to my videos anyways, but the real reason to get this lens, of course, is just how small and light this is. I can vlog all day long and not worry about my arm being tired. Not like the Sigma 16mm lens or even the Sony 16 to 70mm lens. Well, we can see that autofocus is not reliable with this lens, but it doesn't mean you should disregard it just because of this issue. For this scene, I used the exact same lens and you can tell that the focus is fine. What I did was very easy. I just used manual focus and focus peaking to make sure that the scene is in focus. Even as a beginner, it's very easy to do and you can find a lot of helpful videos on YouTube to show you how to do it. So my recommendation for this lens, if you want to vlog with it, is use that manual focus and focus peaking, and you won't have that issue with the focusing like you can see in this video. And did I mention another good thing about this lens is that it's very affordable used. So if you're looking for a first-time vlogging lens that's as light and as compact as this, you can find this lens from many sources used for around $80 to $100 US. And that's a great deal for a first-time vlogging lens. Here I am in a little bit darker area so you can get an idea of how this lens looks in lower light. From my LCD screen, it doesn't look that bad at all. I'm liking it, but of course this screen is only 3 inches and everything looks good on it. So I will do a low light test in my micro studio later to see the quality of this lens in low light. Why don't we just throw in the Sony Xperia Pro-I also in this video, because it is using Ziess Tessar Star glass lens for the main camera, and it is 24mm full frame equivalent, and right now it's at f4.0. There's a lot of hype on how smartphone cameras are catching up to digital type cameras like DSLRs and mirrorless cameras. So let's see if there really is a significant difference between the two, or are these types of cameras really catching up, as the hype or some sources like to proclaim all the time. This is also on the Sony Remote Commander Bluetooth grip. I am using the rear mono microphone without intelligent wind filter turned on because it's not very windy, but it's gonna get kind of loud here. There's these insects that make some pretty loud sounds, and I'm sure you can kind of hear it. Hopefully you can still hear my voice. I'm in a little bit darker setting right now too. At the end of each comparison, I've taken screenshots from all 4 lenses and I put them side by side so you can compare the image quality for each one. Now remember that the aperture will be at f4.0 for all lenses for this entire video. I did mention earlier it's a bit difficult to constantly replace the lens for each scene, and that's why it's going to be a little bit different for all of them. So here is the Sony Zeiss 16 to 70mm f4.0 lens at a stationary vlog. You can see how the auto performance focus works on this lens. I find it does a lot better job than the Sigma one, but of course this is a Sony lens, so it would make sense it works better with their own camera bodies. Is a Sigma 16mm f1.4 lens at an f4.0 aperture doing a stationary vlog. So basically I'm not moving. You can also get a look at how the autofocus performance works with this lens. I've had an issue with this lens in the past where in bright settings or even in dark settings it would hunt for focus. So let's see during this video if it's gonna have a similar issue. I've never had that problem with the Sony Zeiss f4 lens, whether it's in bright light or in darker conditions. Here is a stationary test of the Sony 16mm f2.8 lens. I am not using active stabilization for this portion of the video. I am holding the ZV-E10 at arm's length with both hands, and my elbows are resting on my knees to try to stabilize this camera body as much as possible. Here's the Sony Xperia Pro-I in a stationary position and vlogging and using it handheld. Just like the Sony 16mm f2.8, I'm holding this with both hands. My triceps, I don't know why I said elbows in the last portion, but my triceps are resting on my knees to stabilize this device as much as possible. Also, if you're wondering what this microphone setup is that I'm using, it is the Sony ECW, it's the Sony ECM W2 B2 wireless microphone system, and I am working on a review for that, so hopefully I can post it in about a week or two. But right now the audio is still coming from the rear mono microphone on the Xperia Pro-I. Alright, so I do remember sometimes in my videos I complain that it's a bit difficult to see the LCD screen during bright sunlight. So I finally found something that resolves that issue. It is a LCD sunscreen from Small Rig. And there is many different types that you can get, but I got this one because I can fold it up and store it in my bag. There are some that you can attach directly to the screen. You push a button and the shade pops up. This is very easy to put on. You just position it over the LCD screen and Velcro it in place. And this allows you to see your screen in bright sunlight because of course it's blocking out that excess light. So for the next comparison, I'm going to go ahead and find a spot where I can put both of these lenses on a tripod so you can see how it looks. Right now it's about 12 noon, and it's a bit hot, but not like last time for my Sony Xperia Pro-I video where I was comparing the f2 and f4 aperture on that camera. Alright, I found a spot where I can put the Sony ZV-E10 on a tripod so you can see how the autofocus and video performance is coming from both of these lenses. Right now you're looking at the Sony Zeiss f4 lens. It's about 1 p.m. in the afternoon. I am soaked in sweat. I've only been hiking for about an hour, but it's very hot and humid now, so yeah, I'm probably gonna have to wrap this up soon. And also I've been dealing with frequent on and off rain, so it's not good to use this camera in this type of environment when it's raining. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go up this hill and run back down so we can see how the focusing performance is. I'll do some zigzagging too. All right. All right, let me go ahead and switch this out for the Sigma lens. Oh, also the audio setup I'm using right now is the Rode video mic. I was supposed to use the Rode SmartLab Plus, but I actually broke off the clip to the microphone itself. It's a piece of junk. Don't buy it. It's not meant for this type of vlogging. It was expensive too for what it is. My goodness, thank goodness I have another one coming on the way. It's a one from Sony. I'll go ahead and do a video comparison between the Sony one and the Rode and see if there really is a big difference in quality, and should you be spending a lot of money for the SmartLab Plus, or maybe just go for a cheaper one like the Sony. Now you're looking at the Sigma 16mm f1.4 lens. And what I'm going to do now is the same thing that I did with the Sony Zeiss lens. I'm going to go ahead and go up this hill in a zigzagging pattern and then run back down. So you can check the auto performance for this lens in bright settings and on a tripod. Alright, that was a little test of the focusing performance for the Sigma 16mm lens. For this portion of the video, I'm going to test the autofocus performance for the Sony 16mm f2.8 lens, but it is in the f4.0 aperture. So basically, just like the other lens, I'm going to run, zigzag, jump, so we can see if it's able to track me all the way through. I did try to find an area with some distraction in it, and hopefully it will keep focus on myself. Whoa. Here is the autofocus performance for the Sony Xperia Pro-I. If you watched a lot of my videos before, you already know how it performs, but let's just make it a fair comparison with the other lens. I'm gonna go ahead and do it. So same thing with the other lens. I'll just do some jumping and zigzagging to see if it will maintain focus on myself. Alright, that was the autofocusing performance for the Sony Xperia Pro-I. Oh, by the way, I'm not recording from this microphone. I'm actually recording from the rear mono microphone on the Sony Xperia Pro-I. Finally found a spot where it's quiet, so we're not going to hear those insect noises anymore. But unfortunately, this is the end of the video. I need to wrap it up. It was pretty long. Now, I don't like to give my personal opinions on these videos because I want you to decide for yourself for your situation. But some people want me to do that, and my recommendation right now is for vlogging outdoors, walking vlogs, action vlogs, or anything similar, I would keep the Sigma 16mm at home or in a studio because it's just too heavy, it's too big. Yes, the image quality is probably better than all three of these other lenses, but you have to think about when you're out here, especially if it's a hot area or you're out for a long walk or hike, it gets pretty heavy on the arm holding it out like this all the time. The Sony 16 to 70mm is a great option. Maybe for someone like my size, I can handle the weight a little bit longer than maybe someone that's not as tall or as big as me. Also, you get the option to use the other focal lengths, which can be good for vlogs. You're not just stuck with one fixed focal length like this one. But of course, it might be a bit heavy for others. So this leaves you with this lens right here, the 16mm f2.8. So if you don't mind the image quality coming from this and you know how to use manual focus for this particular lens, I highly recommend it. And it's a very affordable lens if you buy it used. Now, of course, the Sony Xperia Pro-I, some people may not like the video quality coming from a smartphone type camera. It's not really a smartphone type camera, but still you can tell the image quality is a little bit different than these three lenses. But the advantage of the Sony Xperia Pro-I is it's compact, it's convenient, and it's water resistant. So right now I have to worry about if it's going to rain, because it does look like it's going to rain. And unfortunately, this lens and the ZV-10 does not do well in wet conditions. So there you go, that's my recommendations. Let me know in the comments what you think about the 4 different lenses, which one you like, which one you dislike, which one you would use for vlogging. Please hit that like button, it does help get this video out to more viewers, and please subscribe, I would appreciate it. And that's about it. Until next time, stay safe, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next video.